load of money in the enterprise space. And basically what we are is an online marketplace and community that connects buyers and sellers to sell and to move enterprise software solutions. The problem that we're trying to solve here is that you've got about 180,000 businesses with at least 200 employees each trying to buy enterprise software from 40,000 software vendors who are trying to sell $250 billion worth of software enterprise solutions into that space. And the problem is that it's a very costly process. It takes a long time, you've got a lot of people involved, and it's driven by the fact that there is no free flow of information between these two parties. There's no understanding as to how the ROI plays out for the solution that's being purchased, and you have to buy expensive reports like Gartner and so on. You also have to engage in a lot of interviews with your client. So what we want to do is reverse all of this. What we want to do is cut the sales cycle in half, cut the amount of investment that you make in the sales cycle and the time that you put into it. And most importantly, we want to create an environment where the decision makers are making an informed purchase with the tools around building a business value model for the product they're trying to purchase. So what we're trying to do is operate in this little niche here. We're not trying to boil the ocean. Above us, you have the big players who are doing face-to-face direct sales. Below us, you've got some folks who call themselves marketplaces, but really they reside in proprietary platforms. What we want to do is operate in this space, and even still, it's a very ugly space. What we have today are so-called marketplaces that are truly directories, and you have a lot of siloed functionality. You have folks who are offering templates for RFPs, you have other folks who are offering tools for developing ROI models. So what we want to do is operate in this space. Capterra is one key big player there, and what we're trying to do is really blow them away. And you can see here that there are some similarities around being vendor neutral. We're also going to be cross-industry. And our revenue model is somewhat similar, but that's where the similarities end. In fact, we think that we could capture a price premium by offering value-added services such as vendor comparisons, expert communities, workflow tracking, requirements matching, and value method tools. And we can get into that into our demo. So I'm going to walk you through a three-step process of discovering the solution, number two, sharing information between the two parties, and number three, making a decision. So what you see here is if you go to Traversive.com, you're going to see the first page, and it's set up exactly like a marketplace where you have the projects that are looking for enterprise solutions. And then on the other side, you have all the vendors that are advertising in our space, so you can actually see where our revenue model is going with this. And as a buyer, the first thing I want to do is search for a vendor. So you can see here that as I enter all sorts of search criteria based on industry, solution requirement, platform, and so on the right, you can see that the results are going to dynamically change. I can also enter my budget. Very cool stuff. So in this scenario, I see that IBM is a key player. I ranked by the Gartner ranking. They showed up on top. By the way, I can also see reviews. Why can't you buy enterprise software like on Amazon? Anyways, just food for thought. Click on Connect. What happens is, if I'm a seller, and by the way, I do work for IBM, I've been doing this for a number of years, so I'm actually solving a problem that my entire sales organization is facing. I see here that I get notified in my workspace that there's a lead that I can follow. In addition to that, you can see a whole bunch of other services, value-adding services that are key to developing stickiness, getting the salesperson back to our website every day so that we can drive that network effect that everyone's talking about. So what I'm going to do as a seller is I'm going to look at the project that is associated with me by the CRM project, the insurance buyer. And I set up an example project, and you can see here various templates and tools and processes that will enable this selling process.
60 seconds.
There's a requirements matching. Here's a customer's requirements, and I'm telling them how my software is matched with them and what kinds of references are involved. So are they willing to pay? Absolutely yes. We've got sellers who want this info. We've got buyers who also want to know the value in summary. We're talking about a very costly and timely, very time-consuming purchase cycle. And we want to offer all of these kinds of value-adding services to enable that process. Here's our pricing model, which I could talk to you about in greater detail. And in the worst case scenario, I think that we could be a $3 million business in 4 to 5 years. That's worst case scenario. So, in summary, I'm looking to you guys. We could definitely use your help. I know that you've got some experience. Please join our board. We could use an incubator workspace. And thank you very much. I really look forward to answering any kind of questions that you might have. Thank you.
So is this basically more of a workflow so that you're helping organize the process itself?
Workflow is a very loaded term. So it's not workflow in the traditional sense where we're managing tasks from one person to another. But what we are managing is the status of the purchase cycle and notifying people. But there are no rules. This is not a complicated application that we're trying to develop. It's really to manage the sales cycle and to manage the communication. It's a combination of it has documented management capabilities, right? So I can upload RFPs, I can respond to them. It has mapping capabilities, so it has a requirements management sort of aspect to it. And it has workflow capabilities to the extent that, as I said, we're managing the communication and the status of where we are in that sales cycle. Yep. So the question is, how do we account for the fact that some of either party, in fact, might have reservations about sharing information? In actual fact, and as I mentioned, I've been doing this for a number of years. I've been doing strategy at IBM, I've been a management consultant, and now I'm selling software. And what I'm actually finding is that the key to the strategy of most of these vendors is developing a partnership. What I find is that clients are, in fact, willing to share information. They want to share information. Going back to this lack of value alignment, buyers want to see demonstrated capabilities. They want to see references. They want to see what your software can do in my industry, in my specific domain. How does your software work with my banking business process? And they want to see the ROI model. They're willing to give up information to have this. And in actual fact, that's free consulting for them. If the seller is using this tool to answer these questions, that's 2 months that the client does not have to spend in finding this answer themselves. By the way, we do have NDA templates in here as well, which will enable that comfort level of, okay, this is a trusted advisor, I'm willing to share information with him. Yeah. Sure. So we thought a lot about that. Key to our strategy is actually around the ecosystem. And so what you see here is that what we're trying to do is establish key relationships with flagship customers, tier 1 and tier 2 providers, right? And establishing those relationships absolutely will be key in terms of getting the home run wins. Like if I can get this into IBM, I'm accessing a potentially 100,000 people sales force, without exaggeration. So am I answering the question about the ecosystem strategy and how we're going to get this out there? Okay. Oh, you're talking about resellers. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm actually not trying to displace the reseller. The interesting thing about this model, this business model we're introducing, is that we're not trying to disintermediate the reseller, the RSI, or the value-added reseller. We're not trying to displace them at all. In fact, what we're trying to do is empower them. They are key to our long-term growth. After we get the flagship tier 1 providers, these RSIs, these resellers, are going to help us get into the middle tier, and we want to empower their workforce. I talked to a colleague of mine. He ran a software company called View Technologies. He got bought out by Tyco, which is a multi-billion-dollar software seller. And I told him about this idea. He loved it. He said, "When can I hire you?" And I thought, I don't want to be an employee for anyone. I want to run my own startup. You know, you could buy my product. So, you know, this is what I was thinking, and this is why Traversive came into being. So we're not trying to displace anybody, really.
Let's do one more question from the panel.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of information you're using in our community.
Yep.
Why not start with, you're going after all of enterprise IT and all businesses.
Yep.
Why not focus on, communications is the first more easy step of enterprise IT.
Yep.
So you've already thought of that.
We absolutely, yeah.
Vertical you can get.
Absolutely, yeah. We can't boil the ocean, right? We do recognize we have a product that can serve all sales needs within, middle tier software companies to tier 1. But definitely domain specificity in delivering these kinds of value method tools is going to be key to our success and adoption by these sales folks. If you have a banking sales guy who sells applications into the investment banking space or retail banking or so on, he's going to want to know that there are some metrics here that are applicable to his space. And so as I mentioned banking because that's one of the key verticals that we're going to focus on. That's where the money's at. That's a growth opportunity even for the big companies like IBM and SAP. Retail is also a big space. Where they're constantly asking, if I'm going to do a POS upgrade, and it's going to cost me $20 million to roll this out across 4,000 stores, what's the value to me? And we need to be able to answer that question, and that retail vertical is also going to be key as an initial start for us.
All right, well, let's time for questions, so thank you.
Thank you.